Coming to the side of the vehicle, the first thing that you notice are the gorgeous 18-inch alloy wheels, which are finished in dual tone. You have your plastic cladding going along. If we talk about the colors, the all-new MG ZS will be available in 5 colors, including white, black, silver, grey, and the classic MG red.
Something important is happening in Pakistan's automobile industry. For years, Pakistan has had a growing car assembly industry, but most of the vehicles produced inside the country have been built for the local market. Now, that could be changing. A Pakistani automobile manufacturer is preparing to take its locally assembled vehicles across the border and into Bangladesh. And the company at the center of this move is MGJW Automobile Pakistan. MG Pakistan has signed an agreement with Bangladesh's Ranking Group that opens the door for Pakistan-assembled MG vehicles to enter the Bangladeshi market. At first glance, this may look like just another business agreement, but when you look at the numbers, the story becomes much more interesting. The plan calls for an initial export of 100 vehicles during 2026, and the longer-term target is much bigger. The companies are looking at around 5,800 vehicles over a 4-year period. That means the first shipment could be just the beginning. So, why is Bangladesh important? Bangladesh is one of South Asia's largest markets, with a huge population and a growing demand for modern vehicles. That makes it an attractive destination for automobile manufacturers looking to expand beyond their home countries. For MG Pakistan, this creates an opportunity to introduce Pakistani-assembled vehicles to a completely new group of customers. But entering a foreign market is never easy. Bangladeshi customers already have plenty of choices. Japanese brands have a strong reputation. Korean manufacturers are well established. Indian automakers are competing aggressively. And Chinese brands are becoming increasingly popular across international markets. So MG Pakistan will have to prove that its vehicles can compete on more than just appearance. Price will matter. Fuel efficiency will matter. Technology will matter. Safety will matter. And after-sales service could become one of the biggest factors of all. Because when someone buys a car, they're not just buying the vehicle. They are also buying the service network behind it. Customers want spare parts to be available. They want trained technicians. They want reliable maintenance. And they want a manufacturer to support them years after the purchase. That is why the Bangladesh market could become an important test for MG Pakistan. If customers respond positively, the company could have an opportunity to expand its exports. And if exports increase, the impact could go beyond MG itself. More vehicles being produced for export could create additional demand for local Pakistani suppliers. Parts manufacturers could receive more orders. Production could increase. And more businesses could become involved in the automotive supply chain. This could potentially create new opportunities throughout the industry. There's also another important reason why Pakistan wants to increase automobile exports. Foreign exchange. When a country exports vehicles, it earns money from international markets. That can help strengthen the country's export base and reduce reliance on imports. For Pakistan, developing a stronger automobile export industry could therefore be strategically important. But there is still a major question. Can Pakistan compete internationally on cost and quality? That is the real challenge. Producing cars for the domestic market and producing cars for international customers are two different things. International customers have choices. If another manufacturer offers better value, customers can simply choose another vehicle. That means Pakistani manufacturers will have to keep improving. And this is where the MG Bangladesh agreement could become more significant than the initial numbers suggest. It gives Pakistan a real-world opportunity to test its locally assembled vehicles outside the domestic market. If the first vehicles perform well, confidence could grow. If confidence grows, export volumes could increase. And if export volumes increase, other Pakistani manufacturers may become interested in international markets as well. Imagine a future where Pakistani-assembled vehicles are being shipped not only to Bangladesh, but also to other markets across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. That would represent a major change for Pakistan's automobile industry. But before that happens, MG has to prove itself in Bangladesh. The first 100 vehicles will be closely watched. Customers will judge their performance. Dealers will judge demand. and the manufacturer will learn what works and what needs improvement. The target of 5,800 vehicles over 4 years is therefore more than just a number. It represents a test of Pakistan's manufacturing capability, a test of MG's international strategy, and a test of whether Pakistani-assembled vehicles can win customers outside Pakistan. If the answer is yes, this could open a completely new chapter. Pakistan could move from being primarily a domestic vehicle assembly market toward becoming a more serious player in regional automobile exports. And that is why this agreement deserves attention. The first cars going from Pakistan to Bangladesh may not change the global automobile industry overnight, but they could prove that Pakistani-assembled vehicles have a place in international markets. And sometimes, an industry's biggest changes begin with a small first shipment. So the question now is not simply whether Pakistan can export cars. It already has a plan to do so. The bigger question is, can Pakistan turn this first step into a long-term automobile export business? Bangladesh may provide the answer, and if MG succeeds, we could see many more Pakistani-assembled vehicles crossing international borders in the years ahead. This could be the beginning of a completely new journey for Pakistan's automobile industry. What do you think? Would you buy a Pakistani-assembled MG if it was available in your country? Let me know in the comments. And for more car news, new launches, supercars, and major developments from the global automobile industry, subscribe to the channel. But there is one more thing that could determine whether this entire plan becomes a success or simply remains a small export project. The biggest challenge is not sending the cars to Bangladesh. The biggest challenge is convincing Bangladeshi customers to keep buying them. A successful automobile brand needs more than a good-looking vehicle. It needs trust. Customers need to believe that the car will remain reliable for years. They need confidence that replacement parts will be available. And they need to know that if something goes wrong, they will have somewhere to take the vehicle. This is where the partnership with Ranking Group could become especially important. A strong local partner can help a foreign automobile brand understand the local market and provide the support customers expect. If that partnership works well, MG could potentially build a stronger presence in Bangladesh over time, and that could change the scale of the entire project. The first 100 vehicles would then become a starting point rather than the final goal. More demand could lead to more exports. More exports could lead to higher production, and higher production could make it easier for Pakistani manufacturers to compete on cost. That creates a possible cycle of growth. But Pakistan will still have to solve several challenges. The country's automobile industry needs competitive production costs. Local parts need to meet consistent quality standards. Manufacturers need reliable supply chains. And vehicles need to meet the requirements of international markets. These challenges cannot be solved overnight. But entering a foreign market gives manufacturers something extremely valuable: experience. Every exported vehicle provides information about what international customers want. Manufacturers can learn which features are popular. They can learn how customers respond to pricing. They can understand what needs to be improved. And over time, that experience can help Pakistani companies become more competitive. This is why the MG Bangladesh agreement could have significance beyond the number of vehicles involved. It gives Pakistan an opportunity to learn. And if that experience is used correctly, it could help the country's automobile industry become more export-focused. There is also a potential benefit for Pakistan's image as a manufacturing country. When a Pakistani-assembled vehicle appears on roads in another country, it becomes a small example of what local manufacturing can produce. If those vehicles perform well, they can help build confidence in Pakistani-made products. And that could potentially encourage other industries to look toward international markets as well. Of course, we should not exaggerate what this deal means. 5,800 vehicles over 4 years is still a relatively small number compared with the world's major automobile exporters. This is not Pakistan suddenly becoming a global automotive giant. It is a beginning, and the success of that beginning will depend on execution. If MG can deliver quality vehicles at competitive prices, maintain strong after-sales support, and increase demand in Bangladesh, the opportunity could become much bigger. But if customers do not respond positively, expansion will be much more difficult. So now the attention moves from the agreement itself to what happens next. The vehicles have to reach the market. Customers have to experience them. Dealers have to sell them. And MG has to prove that this partnership can work in the real world. If it does, Pakistan could have a valuable example of successful automobile exports. And that could encourage more companies to follow. Perhaps in the future, Pakistani-assembled vehicles could be seen in more South Asian markets, then potentially in the Middle East, then Africa, and eventually, perhaps, in other regions as well. Nobody can guarantee that will happen. But every international automobile industry started somewhere. For Pakistan, this could be one of those starting points. A relatively small number of vehicles, one new international market, one major partnership, but potentially a much bigger ambition behind it. So when those first MG vehicles leave Pakistan for Bangladesh, they will represent more than just another car shipment. They will represent a test of Pakistan's manufacturing quality, a test of MG's international strategy, and a test of whether Pakistani-assembled cars can win customers beyond Pakistan's borders. The answer will come from the customers. If they like the vehicles, demand could grow. If demand grows, exports could increase. And if exports increase, Pakistan's automobile industry could begin looking at the world very differently. For now, Bangladesh is the next destination, and MG Pakistan has taken the first step. The road ahead is still long, but the journey has begun. So what do you think? Can Pakistani-assembled MG vehicles become successful in Bangladesh? And if they do, could this eventually lead to Pakistani cars entering even more international markets? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. For more breaking automobile news, new car launches, supercars, and the biggest stories from the automotive world, subscribe to the channel, because this may be just the beginning of Pakistan's next automobile export story. And now, everything comes down to one simple question. Will Pakistan's first major step into the Bangladeshi automobile market become a success? The answer will not come from the agreement itself. It will come from the customers. If Bangladeshi buyers accept these vehicles, MG could increase exports and potentially expand its presence in the market. And if that happens, this agreement could become much more than a small business deal. It could become an example for Pakistan's entire automobile industry, because the ultimate goal is not simply to export a few thousand cars. The bigger goal is to prove that vehicles assembled in Pakistan can compete in international markets. The first cars going to Bangladesh are therefore carrying something much more important than passengers. They are carrying the hopes of a growing automobile industry. From Pakistan's factories to Bangladesh's roads, this journey is just beginning. And if MG can turn this first step into long-term success, we may eventually see more Pakistani-assembled cars crossing borders and entering new markets around the world. For now, Bangladesh is the next destination, and the world will be watching to see what happens next. Pakistan has started the journey. Now the real test begins. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more automotive news. This could be the beginning of a new chapter for Pakistan's automobile industry.